What's up, everyone? Welcome on into the Fast Five with Superbook Sports. I'm Anilo Piro, based out in the Mile High City in Colorado, joined by my good friend in Las Vegas, Nevada, representing Superbook unit on social media, Mr. John. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. I want to know how you're doing. I saw on Twitter you posted a few of your NBA futures bets, kind of wet the bed here recently. It looked like they were doing pretty well. You had the six-man Russ and then Jokic MVP, which is
Man,
day after day.
Yeah, the sixth man of the year Russell Westbrook bet was more of I got him like 55-1, I think is what I bet him at before the year had started, after his head coach talked about, trust me, bring him off the bench, we'll find the role, whatever it might be. And then he got traded to the Clippers, and that was essentially, good night to that bet. So that sucked, but I wasn't really expecting to win that one, if I'm being honest with you. I was just like, let me grab the good number, and I should have just hedged it better than I actually did, but such is life. The Jokic MVP, the big guy right up there, that's the one that's crushing me right now. And it's more so because, like, if you listen to the radio show on Mile High Sports, I'm on from 4 to 6 p.m. There's some bad blood between the Denver Nuggets and the Philadelphia 76ers, obviously, in the fan base. And Denver, earlier this week lays an absolute egg against Houston, who's the worst team in the Western Conference, with Denver's ability to clinch the number one seed. Jokic, 8 turnovers, MPJ taking 13 threes. Two futures down the drain. My Jokic MVP, my Russell Westbrook sixth man of the year. Although I did hit nice in season, Sacramento Kings light the beam plus 475 to win their division. So that came through.
Yeah, they just cashed you at last night? They were looking at 200-1.
I wish I would have dived in on that.
Yeah, at the end of last year, they opened there. I mean, just looking at who's in the Pacific, you got the Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, and Suns. Who would have thought that the Kings would have won that division this year?
Yeah, no, I mean, it is what it is. I got to give a shout out to my guy, Matt Moore, over at the Action Network. I was listening to his podcast, and him and his co-host put me on to that. So I got him at a nice plus 475, and this was right after the Phoenix Suns traded for Kevin Durant. So
got to make up a little bit for possibly using or losing that Joker bet. And then
well, now the goal is, in true sports betting fashion, let's take the winnings from that bet from the future and roll them on over to the Masters and try to hit another long shot bet. For what it's worth, I hit the Masters Open winner, or the Masters Open. I hit the Masters winner last year in Scottie Scheffler, and then I hit the Open winner in Cam Smith over the summer as well. So a little bit of pressure because I've done well in these major tournaments. We'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, man, I mean, what a great time to be a sports fan this week as a whole. We had the NCAA tournament to get us started. NBA and NHL regular season starting to wind down. We've got a UFC card, which we'll touch on later on in the program. Major League Baseball is in full effect, but the meat and potatoes
XFL,
this week.
Don't forget XFL.
Yeah, you and your St. Louis Battlehawks, huh?
Yeah, they're on a roll. They're going to get into the playoffs, and they're going to run the table.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But the mothership, the meat and potatoes, obviously, is the Masters starting up here in just a little while. And obviously, it's the golf tournament of all golf tournaments, Augusta, Georgia, the atmosphere, the history, the legacy, everything that kind of comes along with it. So, really one of the best weeks to be a sports fan across the board for all the different sports, whether it's football, the XFL, baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, all at different levels. So good time. Excited to kind of dive into some of these topics. And let's start with the Masters here, my friend. And let's do the general conversation first, because I know you and I, we like the golf, but we're not as sharp as some of the people over at Superbook. I was listening to the Odds Makers podcast on my drive in today, and got a good sense of some knowledge in regards to these golfers and whatnot. But in a general sense, looking at some odds on Superbook, you got Rory as the favorite at 7-1, Scheffler at plus 750, looking to defend it right behind him. John Rahm at 10-1, Spieth at 18-1, and Patrick Cantlay at 18-1. Obviously, it's very difficult to pick a winner, but what's just kind of your overall thoughts about the Masters? Where does it kind of rank in your sports, sporting events kind of totem pole? And obviously, it's fun. You got the history with Rory, Scheffler looking to repeat. Where's kind of your general head at as it pertains to the Masters here ahead of the tournament starting later this week?
Yeah, so I haven't been into golf my whole life. So I recently got into golf probably in the past 4 years. But as far as a sport to bet on, I've fallen in love with it because – one, you don't need to know a ton about it. It's not like you're betting, unless you're betting matchups and some sharper fields like that. But I like just, sprinkle a few bucks on some of these guys. If you're not, as you mentioned, those top 3 guys, if you're not betting one of those top 3 guys, you're getting a pretty good price on some of the guys further down the list. I know earlier this week. I sprinkled a few bucks on Cam Young. He was at like 30 to
Nice.
1. I kind of missed the boat on Max Homa. That's personally my favorite golfer. He's at 30 to 1 right now, but I kind of missed the boat on that. I saw he was like 60 to 1 earlier in this year. That's actually a guy I took in the Genesis. You saw he finished second behind Rahm, and I was stupid and didn't hedge. I was riding that out. It wasn't any loss that hurt, but that was fun to follow, and that just got me more pumped up for the Masters. I'm looking a little further down the list. Thigala at 125 to 1. That's somebody, maybe a lottery ticket I could cash. Same goes for Adam Scott. He's at 150 or 151 here at Superbook.
I got a couple of friends that are, privy to the golf and, bet it year round and whatnot. And just, you already mentioned them, but some of the names that I've been hearing, popular bets for outright winners, obviously Rory McIlroy looking to get his first green jacket. He's the favorite. And that's also what I love about golf betting. A favorite is 7 to 1.
Yeah.
Like what is the equivalent of a 7 to 1 odds bet? Like what was Mahomes before the year for MVP? Plus 350, plus 400. And this is, obviously there can only be one winner, but I love kind of the long shot aspect of this. So Rory McIlroy's favorite is at 70 to 1 or 7 to 1, excuse me. Scotty Scheffler at plus 750. A lot of steam on John Rahm at 10 to 1, as we said. Those are the top three, but some other names down the list that I've heard some people that are pretty privy to. Colin Morikawa at 25 to 1 is a popular name that I've heard in some circles. Dustin Johnson as well. Xander Schauffele is another name that's been brought up in some conversations that I've had. Brooks Koepka at 40 to 1. He's playing pretty well out there on the Live Tour as well, kind of heading into this tournament. So, there's some Hideki Matsuyama at 50 to 1. So there's a couple different ways that you can sprinkle some money on a handful of different guys. As I like to say, shoot some darts, take your bankroll, divide it by, 5, 10, whatever it might be for the tournament, because all you got to do is hit one and you're going to make up for everything else and some, depending on how long the odds are. But I'm looking forward to it, man. But one of the best parts of the Masters is obviously going there, but if you manage to get one of the badges and get to be on the grounds, is the food menu that comes along with it. And I know you and I are absolute gavones. We love to eat. You were talking about how you used to put back like a dozen cosmic brownies back in the day.
Yeah,
I'm about to go eat some dinner.
I'm out of that era now. More so like bomb pops, popsicles. I could eat probably 50 of them.
Those are good. Well, I mean, even I remember the last time you and I were at Blake Street Tavern, or the second to last time, they were criticizing you for the amount of Miller Lights that you can put back. And I know that's alcohol, but beer fills the stomach. But I mean, for guys like me and you that love to munch, the food menu that is presented to spectators at the Masters is one to be, bow down to, especially when you factor in the pricing. And why don't you tell the people the little experiment that you came up with that we're about to dive into?
Yeah, so I mean, this picture goes viral every single year, and there's been a few changes in the past years, as I saw on Twitter. But the concession stand photo, everybody is like, where's this come from? How do they have these prices? When you see these prices at baseball games, football games, whatever, it might cost you an arm and leg to get into the Masters if you get whatever
more than that
retail tickets. But the concession stand, who doesn't love the concession stand? So if you have $10 to spend on anything on the menu, whatever combination you want, what are you going with if you've got $10 in your pocket?
Yeah, no, I love it. Do you want to go item by item, or do you want to just give everything you've got and then I'll give
all
everything
at once?
I've got?
Go all at once.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start, man, because once you sent me this, I was like, yeah, I'm about to dive in because I love to munch, love food, especially food on a budget. And I'll get my basic ones out of the way. One of them is extremely basic, but I did put, well, I'll get to it as well. You got to start out with a nice, it starts early in the morning. You got to start out with a nice warm cup of coffee, $2, 50% increase or 50-cent increase from the last menu that I saw last year. So inflation, it's going all around, even at the coffee, nothing's accepted on that front. So $2 for the cup of coffee. And then I get the jitters big time when I drink too much coffee. So I went with a $2 bottle of water. You got to stay hydrated. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I know it's a basic choice, but you got to, yin and yang.
You got drinks weighing down your budget here.
But it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I need the caffeine to get me going every day. I need the water to keep me, hydrated throughout the day.
Well, you got to think like you're on a budget here. $10, maybe, hit up
but those are the essentials.
You got sprinklers around. You got water.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, man. There's something about just having your own personal bottle. You slip it in the back pocket.
I get it.
So like I said, all right, that's the basic stuff. I'm getting that out of the way. To pair with my breakfast to get the sugar rush going, mix the caffeine with the sugar. I am a sucker for the blueberry muffin, man. And I saw the blueberry muffin on the menu, $1.50. Give me the blueberry muffin all day. Pull off the muffin top, pull out the rest. Boom, boom, boom. cup of coffee, water, blueberry muffin to get your day started, and away we go. So $2 on the coffee, $2 on the water, $1.50 on the blueberry muffin leaves me with a little change to play with. And that's when we dive into the specialty items, the bread, the meat and potatoes to soak you up. So I got to go with the pimento cheese sandwich, $1.50. I'm a little iffy on pimento cheese. Like, it's certainly not my favorite variation of cheese. I don't even know if it qualifies in my top 10 of cheeses, if I'm being honest with you. But everybody raves about the pimento cheese sandwich. So give me one of those. And then if we're in the South, especially in Georgia, I believe the Chick-fil-A headquarters is out there. I'm going to keep it basic again, but give me the chicken sandwich. Give me the crispy chicken sandwich on the master's menu. Maybe get a little, garnish along with it. Maybe a little condiment to put on the sandwich, whatever it might be. But my 5 choices: cup of coffee, bottled water, blueberry muffin for breakfast, chicken sandwich, pimento cheese sandwich. $10. Those are my 5 items.
Yeah, you mentioned the Southern cooking. What here at the bottom under the snacks? What the hell is a Southern cheese straw?
That's what I was trying to figure out. I mean, it sounds kind of like a wild card play.
Sounds great, but
a lot of versatility. See, and you know what else I noticed from menus past? Because I actually just talked about it on the radio show earlier today. On this year's menu, they specified pork barbecue. In years past, it was just barbecue. And I'm like, that can mean pulled pork, that can mean chicken, it could mean brisket, could mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like leaving it up to the imagination. But yeah, there's some interesting ones on there. I was also talking about I'm a sucker for rye bread, so I did give that ham and cheese on rye a good thought, but I got to go pimento cheese and crispy chicken. I got to get some protein in there.
All right, for mine, just 2 beers.
I knew you were gonna go there.
Yeah. I gotta get something to eat. There's nothing better than getting a beer at a sporting event, especially when they're $5, because it's not uncommon nowadays to see $20 beers at sporting events. So I will get 1 beer, and I'll save some money in my $10 budget for some food. But I'm going to keep it simple. I'm actually going to go in the same direction you went with the chicken sandwich, $3. And then I'm going to go down to snacks here. And one of my other favorite snacks to get at sporting events, whether I know it's a popular baseball item, but I'll get them anywhere, peanuts, shelled peanuts, $1.50. So you take a combination of a beer, chicken sandwich, and peanuts and have 50 cents left over. That's a perfect meal for a great day at Augusta National.
You're going to put the peanut shells on that lovely glass, though. What are you going to do? Just stuff them in your pocket?
Well, I got the beer cup.
But that would imply you drinking them. See, my thing about the beer, and obviously I love to drink beer. You and I put back a few of those, great tasting, less filling Miller Lights. Love those things. But one, it absorbs, 50% of your budget in this instance, and you can't just have one. Like, what's the point of having 1 beer? Like, no, like you got to have 2, 3, 4, 5, especially if you're going to be out there all day. That's why I stayed away from the alcohol, and I just love to eat. Like, I get the same level of pleasure from eating as I do drinking alcohol. And so that's why I was like, let me just kind of widen my horizons a little bit. I am surprised, though. No pimento cheese sandwich from you.
No, actually, the pimento cheese, actually, the only time I've ever had it in my entire life is I was at the grocery store a couple of years ago, and I was going to get just like, how they have like the prepackaged buffalo chicken dip. I thought it was buffalo chicken dip, and it was pimento cheese, and I thought it was horrible, probably because I was expecting buffalo chicken dip. So I threw it away. So,
but it's like when in Rome.
It didn't cross my mind because of that.
Yeah. Hey, no love for the egg salad sandwich. Can't fault either of us there.
I'm out.
You know which one's interesting to me is the Masters Club. I feel like the Masters Club, a good club sandwich is always fire. I prefer the warm chicken sandwich, is why I went in that direction. But if it's named after the Masters, it's got to be pretty good.
Yeah, really the only thing that I was thinking about to have over the chicken would be the pork barbecue, as you mentioned earlier. Anything else on the sandwiches didn't really cross my mind. Those ones really seem like probably the most filling. It actually would help if I could see pictures of these. I know I've seen a few floating around on Twitter, but if I saw pictures of all of these, I know it's just a simple menu, and it
helps. Visual aid.
Yeah, I can't complain about the prices. So that's what I'm going with. Chicken, beer, peanuts. All you need in life.
Chicken, beer, peanuts for Superbookie unit. I went with the coffee, the water, the chicken sando, the pimento cheese, and the blueberry muffin. So, I'll get a swig of your beer. You can have a bite of my sandwich, or, you bite of my blueberry muffin, and we'll call it good. Okay. But I like it, man.
Stretch the $10 a little more, share a little bit.
Imagine what you could do with like $40. Like you'd be eating like.
Yeah, we might have to do panhandling if somehow we get Augusta National one day.
No, I love it, man. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Tiger Woods, I believe last I checked on your book, 80-1 to win the tournament. Probably not going to happen, but just to see Tiger back in action, on the course, specifically in Augusta, I think that's fantastic. Real quick here, what do you make of the clash of, the Civil War, Live Golf versus the PGA Tour, and kind of the two worlds colliding here this weekend?
I mean, it's going to be a fun storyline to follow. Actually, we do have some live specific odds here at Superbook. We've got will live golfer win the 2023 Masters? Yes is 5-1. The no -700. And then we also have under index props on the site, live golfer with the best Masters finish. The favorite in that right now is Dustin Johnson at +450, followed by Cameron Smith at +550, and then Brooks at 8-1.
Interesting.
Those are two that I definitely want to keep an eye on. I mean, how fun or how interesting would that be just to see a live golfer win the Masters? And
it would be.
On our other show, the odds makers earlier this week, they were talking about what would happen. I mean, if they plan to celebrate, spraying beer on the 18th green or what, it would just be an interesting sight to see, especially if it comes down to a close matchup between a live golfer and someone else on Sunday. It'll be fun.
Well, reports were circulating that at the Champions dinner, Phil Mickelson just did not talk to anybody, kept to himself. Oh, really? Like not having it, not entertaining, the conversations.
Yeah, I saw that picture from the dinner yesterday, and some guys had the biggest smile on their face, and others looked like they didn't want to be there at all. So it was a pretty interesting photo to zoom in and see each facial expression from each guy.
Fun for sure, man. I'm excited for the Masters, one of my favorite sporting events each and every year. But my favorite sport personally, and I don't want to speak for you, but I know it's up there for you, is Major League Baseball. And I'm so happy that baseball is back, just about a week into the season. You really need about a month and a half before you can start to make some real inferences on, kind of the states of these teams. But just nice to have baseball back. Obviously, the new rules have been interesting to see how that plays out live. But give me a team. Give me two teams, actually. What's one team that has impressed you early on through the first week of the season? And what's one team that has, been maybe a little disappointing in your mind?
Yeah, so the team that's probably impressed me, I mean, you can't go wrong with the only team in the league that's undefeated right now, the Rays. I mean, they haven't really had the toughest competition. I think their first series was against the Tigers, and then now they're playing the Nationals. Right. So they're not exactly playing the best competitions to start the year, but none of their games have even been close. I think they've won every game by 4 or more runs. Right. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Rays. They've got the experience, and that's someone I want to follow this entire year. And I think that is a team that you hear people talking about on Twitter. You never see the Rays mentioned,
no, never.
Some of those top teams in the league. So that's somebody, maybe a sleeper pick that could be making a run here down the stretch, and they've been there before. So
yeah,
that's my team that's probably impressed me the most, despite the lesser opponents that they've played so far.
Yeah. Outside of Tampa Bay, I agree with you. I think they're the talk of the town, obviously. I'll go with the team that's only lost 1 game so far. There's a couple of them. Let me make sure there's only a couple, right? Yeah. Angels are 4-2 in the West, Cleveland 5-2 in the Central. But the team that's impressed me the most, and maybe it's because they played the team that I support, is the Milwaukee Brewers at 5-1. They're 5-1. I almost said 5-1. That's how wired my mind is with the betting odds. But they're 5-1 so far on the year. They absolutely dominated the Mets in this most recent series. They also got a win against the Cubs, down the stretch there after struggling early on in that series. It's obviously very early, but they're 5-1 in their division. Cincinnati at 3-2, the Cubs at 2-3, and St. Louis off to a rough start through their first 6 games, just 2 wins in their first 6. But going up against the Mets team, they hit Scherzer, they've hit their bullpen. I think Milwaukee, a team that's kind of, I don't want to say taken away, like the Brewers have long been focused on power hitting and home runs and kind of driving the ball that way. This year, they've kind of reinvented a little bit, focused on their young players, adding some speed. That helps with, the bigger bases and some of the new rules. But I think the Brewers, man, at 5-1, and Brandon Woodruff didn't even pitch in that series against the Mets. They had Corbin Burns today, who actually got hit, and they still managed to win the game against the Mets. I think the Brewers, in my opinion, through the first 6 games, most impressive team to me.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good segue to my least impressive team, and I had to do it because it's your team. I'm going to say the Mets, mainly because of this series. I think they're going to be okay. They're going to get Verlander back, and they're going to figure some things out. But it's just a little bit fun, poking fun at some of the Mets fans that are a little negative about their team. But to get outscored 19-0 in a 2-day span and pitching BP to the Brewers yesterday and then today to lose in the fashion they did, as somebody who's not a fan of the Mets, just indifferent, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm biased. And that was going to be my pick anyway, because obviously they're my team and I like supporting them. But I mean, who else you want to go with? I think the Cardinals, could be a team just because it's only 6 games though. And part of the reason I go with the Mets as my least impressive team so far is like you just said, what they go 19 consecutive innings, 18 consecutive innings without scoring a run. It's like, we're back, baby. Justin Verlander on the IL before the season even starts. We're back, baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? Carlos Correa in the offseason blunder. We're back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just something so nauseating about being a fan of the New York Metropolitans. I love them with all my heart. It comes with the territory. But when you're not hitting, I look at the lineup and you know what I say? I say, okay, 1 through 9. Virtually the same lineup as they had the entirety of last season. I don't even know if adding Carlos Correa is going to fix that. You swap Jacob deGrom for Justin Verlander, fine, but it's not like you get much better in the starting rotation. Edwin Diaz, celebrating, hurt, out for the year. Adam Ottavino, -8 fantasy points for me today. Thank you, Adam Ottavino. I appreciate you, my friend. And look, the Mets have won 3 games. They're a game below 500, but they did open up against the Miami Marlins. Not exactly the creme de la creme of Major League Baseball. So I'll say the Mets are my least impressive team. Say again?
Uniform-wise, they might be. You see that?
You like their new uniforms?
Actually, yeah, I do. I mean, maybe it's just a nostalgic thing.
I like the teal ones.
Willis and guys wearing like uniform like that when I was a kid, and baseball felt like it was more magical back then.
Yeah.
The whole thing. I'm not a big fan of the red ones though.
That's what I was saying.
Talking about those, but I do
funky.
like, what I'm talking about, the throwback ones.
Yeah, no, those are clean.
Yeah.
I wish they bring back the swimming fish statue that they had when
don't they still have it, but it's like outside the stadium or something? Or
stupid, big mistake. But yeah, the most impressive team to me, like I said, is Milwaukee Brewers. The least impressive team is my New York Mets. I don't really have much more to say.
They will be fine.
I think they'll be fine, but it's just like I said, we're back, baby. Like, it's like the pain. Like I was in the office today. It go to the bottom of the 9th or whatever it was. And like I walk out for 5 seconds, I come back in, game over. And I'm just like, it is what it is, man. But yeah, Major League Baseball in full effect, the Masters in full effect, and away we go. All right, to wrap it up, we've got ourselves a nice little UFC pay-per-view this weekend, headlined by Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira. Should be a fantastic fight. The latest odds that I got on Superbook Sports, Izzy at -135. I'm a little surprised that he's the favorite. Pereira come back at +115 to the short dog. But let's start with the co-main event between Jorge Masvidal and Gilbert Burns. Masvidal has had some choice words in regards to if he can't beat Gilbert Burns, he might retire. Obviously, he's one of the more polarizing figures in mixed martial arts. What's kind of your overall view of Masvidal versus Gilbert Burns, who's a dog? Gilbert Burns can fight, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gilbert Burns is one of my favorite fighters. And I don't think I'm alone in saying this, that Masvidal has gotten on the bad side of a bunch of MMA fans. Any fans that he did have, I think they may have abandoned ship. Of course, he, getting in that fight in Miami with Colby
yeah.
That I don't know if you could even call it a fight. I think he jumped him or something. But anyways, I'm looking forward to seeing that fight, only for Gilbert Burns, hoping that it goes the way that it's expected. And as the odds reflect, I'm hoping to see a beat down and Gilbert Burns get his hand raised.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you as well. Pretty long odds for Masvidal at +375. The comeback on Burns at -450. So that tells you all you need to know. Like you said, if it goes according to plan, Gilbert Burns should win that fight. But let's get into the main event here. Are you surprised that Israel Adesanya is a slight favorite here? I mean, Pereira's been the one fighter over the course of his career, whether it was kickboxing or UFC, that's kind of had his number.
No, I'm not too surprised. I mean, I think it's a lot closer than a lot of people think. Obviously, Izzy has, been unable to, get over this hump. Of course, he's lost to Pereira in kickboxing twice, and then at MSG, which I was lucky enough to be at, beat him again. But Izzy, I mean, he was winning that fight, and he was going to win that fight if he could get out of that 5th round. And I don't think it was an early stoppage by any means, but, Pereira winning that in that 5th round. I think it's going to be interesting to see. A lot of people have been critical of Adesanya in his title defenses. he's not in that situation anymore.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how he comes out in this fight. He's not defending a belt. He's trying to get that belt back. If I had to make a pick, I would probably say I'm leaning Pereira. But
that's where I'm at.
Is it going to be a tough one to pick? It's until Pereira loses to him. I don't think you can say it any other way.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. You're going to give me a plus, like plus 115. Yeah. So it's not like I'm getting 2-1, 3-1, 4-1 odds here, but I'm still getting a plus number with the champ here. And I think, I forget. Do you remember off the top of your head what was the line for Leon Edwards and Usman in this last go around? Was that close? That was pretty close to pick, wasn't it?
It was Edwards and Usman.
Yeah,
I had him at plus 210.
On Leon or Usman?
Edwards.
And we saw how that kind of, shook out a little bit in that fight. So I don't know, man. Like, not saying that Izzy's time is come and gone, but 2 years ago, Israel Adesanya, Kamaru Usman, and Francis Ngannou running their respective divisions. All three of them have been taken off their pedestal. I don't know, man. I think Pereira, like, just the eye of the tiger. I think he's just kind of had his number, and styles make fights, and obviously Pereira, dating back to the kickboxing days, has had his number for quite some time. And not that I'm saying I disagree with the line, but in a fight that is pretty close to a coin toss, in my opinion, like you said, Izzy, was doing well in the first fight before he got caught there. I'm just going to take the champ at a plus number. A guy who has never, who's had Izzy's number time and time again at a plus number. Sign me up at Superbook Sports.
Absolutely. Speaking of plus number, one guy I'm looking at a little bit later or earlier in the card, Gerald Mearshart. He's an experienced vet. He's at plus 160 against Joe Pyfer. That's one dog that I've had my eyes on since that fight.
I love it. Sweet, dude. Well,
anything else in that outside of the main co-main?
That's kind of. I'm just focusing on the co-main and the main. I'm not gonna lie, man. I just wait for my Colorado guys to get on the card as well. I'm waiting for my guy Curtis Blades to get a title shot sooner rather than later. I know they keep pushing that down the line. Josh Friend got the win, about a month ago or so. So always holding it down. Right after that. Yeah, Factory X and Team Elevation, both based out here in Colorado. So whenever there's fighters on those cards, Justin Gaethje, just had a big win as well. I always hold it down for the Colorado guys. But, I'm excited for these fights, man. And, it's one of those weekends where Masters on one TV, the fights on my iPad, baseball on another TV, maybe mixing some Nuggets, basketball, some Avalanche hockey down the stretch. But, it's one of those weeks, man, where it's a great time to be a sports fan, but most importantly, a great time to be a sports bettor.
Absolutely. So, if you don't have a multiple screen setup, you got to go to a sports book bar or something. Got
to do something. Got to scratch the itch. But all right, my man, let's get on out of here. Let's lock in these wagers as we go along here on Superbook Sports. Any closing thoughts, any words of wisdom you want to leave to the listeners before we get on out of here?
No, just enjoy the weekend. Let's win some bets.
Yeah, let's make some money. Get those bets in with Superbook Sports. You get a nice little deposit bonus when you sign up, deposit, and place a wager today. There's no reason why you should not be playing with Superbook Sports, my favorite sports book out here in Colorado. And you're dealing with real people back in Las Vegas. You're not dealing with computers. You're not dealing with people overseas. Real deal, red, white, and blue sports betting with our good friends over at Superbook Sports. My man, good stuff. And away we go. Get those bets in with Superbook. I'm Anilo Piro. He's John Hoagland. Be sure to check out Superbook Sports, and away we go. This has been the latest installment of the Fast Five. Back at it again next week. Good luck on your bets, folks.